Our first race that we will be covering today is the Senate District 33. The incumbent is Senator Mark Herring, and his challenger is Patricia Phillips. We will start by asking the challenger to make some opening remarks. So, Ms. Phillips, if you could make some opening remarks, limited to 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Patricia Phillips. I have a business here in Loudoun County, Phillips Resources. We help food companies make products more nutritious for the school lunch program. And I raise that because it has given me such great experience and training working with businesses and seeing how government influences their decisions and how businesses make decisions. You all are in the business community, so you know that as well. I have been campaigning on a small business platform because through that experience I've recognized that it's small businesses that create new goods and services, which in turn result in new jobs, more so than government programs. So I think what government can do is create an environment where all businesses have an opportunity to succeed, doing things like keeping taxes low, defending our right to work laws here in Virginia, and most importantly, dealing with the roads and congestion, because if you think about it, that is a big hindrance to some of our economic growth and success, dealing with that movement of transportation so people can engage in commerce, getting to and from work, getting to and from shops, meetings, and the like. So it's my honor to be here and to seek this office for State Senate, and I appreciate so much your interest in being here and participating in the political process.
Thank you very much, Ms. Phillips. Senator Herring.
Well, thank you. And first, I'd like to thank the Dulles Regional Chamber for hosting this debate. It's been my privilege to represent the 33rd Senate District for about the last 6 years. The district includes Leesburg, Lansdowne, Countryside, Cascades, Sterling, Herndon, Dulles, Brambleton, and a little bit of Chantilly. I'm a business lawyer. Most of my clients are drawn from the business and professional community in Loudoun and Western Fairfax counties. And I've owned my own business for over 20 years. I'm very proud that during my tenure in the state Senate, Virginia has been consistently named the best state in America for business, and I've been working very hard to keep it that way. I serve on the Senate Commerce and Labor Committee, where most bills affecting business are heard. I also serve on the General Laws and Technology Committee, so I'm well positioned to help Virginia's high-tech industries. And I am also co-chair of the Tourism Caucus in the General Assembly. I've worked really hard for business and the business community. I've been very successful. I'm proud to have the endorsements of the Northern Virginia Technology Council, National Federation of Independent Businesses, Fairfax County Chamber, Northern Virginia Realtors Association, Dulles Area Association of Realtors, and others. I'm running for re-election because I've been able to deliver results for our district, and I want to build on that success.
Thank you very much. The first question will go to Senator Herring. Sir, as you know, Loudoun County and this portion of Fairfax County have seen significant growth over the last decade or so, and much of that is in the high-tech arena. What do you see as the role for government in economic development? What specific economic development programs would you support, and what would you propose to get government involved in economic development?
Well, thank you. Obviously, jobs in the economy are a top concern of everyone in the district. And while we still have a lot to do, I think it's important that we recognize that in Virginia, we are doing a lot of things right. As I mentioned, we're consistently named the best state in America to do business in. We're the best managed state in America. We balance our budgets every year. The unemployment rate is around 6.3%, substantially below the national average. Here in Northern Virginia, it's around 4%, which is less than half the national average. So we are doing a lot of things right. And the way we do that is by making sure we continue to have a business-friendly regulatory environment. We need to maintain our investments in education so that it's not only the right thing to do for our children, but it also helps them be fully prepared to enter the workforce in a globally competitive economy. And we also need to support economic development programs. I've been in the forefront of those programs, especially in the technology area. I sponsored and passed a research and development tax credit, creating an incentive for businesses to invest more in research and development, helping to create new high-tech jobs right here in Northern Virginia. I also sponsored and passed legislation creating and expanding the Commonwealth Research Commercialization Fund. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but basically what it does is create partnerships between entrepreneurs and researchers at Virginia's colleges and universities so that when those researchers make discoveries with commercial application, they can come together with entrepreneurs, establish businesses, and create jobs right here in Virginia rather than having them go elsewhere, like to the Research Triangle in North Carolina, Silicon Valley, or Boston. Those are the things that I've done in the past. Those are the things that we need to continue to build on to help our economy grow and create jobs.
Thank you, Senator. Ms. Phillips, a response?
Yes, as I mentioned in my opening comment, I truly believe that one of our biggest hindrances to our economic growth and development is our inadequate road infrastructure and transportation network. These are critical to all of our businesses, the very smallest to the larger businesses as well. In terms of, if you think about it, just opening up the opportunities for employment. If potential employees are not considering hour-and-a-half or 2-hour commutes to take a job a little further away from where they live. So it opens up the pool of employees that employers have to choose from, as well as the job opportunities that employees have. It's a real drain on our economy just in terms of the cost of delivering of goods and services, the disincentive of folks participating in the economy, going out and shopping or for entertainment or for commerce meetings, things like that. So to me, the most critical thing that we need to take care of in this, for the upcoming sessions in the General Assembly, is finding a long-term solution and plan to deal with our roads and congestion to help our economic development.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. I'm going to go back to that same question that I asked the Senator, because I do want to talk about beyond transportation and congestion. I want to get your thoughts on the role of government to spur or encourage economic development in our region, which is critically important to make sure that jobs do come to this region. So if you can take a moment to talk about economic development specifically.
Well, certainly. First of all, I am a big believer that businesses are in the best position to make decisions for their businesses in terms of what are their growth opportunities, the employees that they need. What we need to do as government is provide that infrastructure for in our education, both in secondary as in preparation for higher education, so that our young adults are prepared and able to work in the high-tech industries, so that the role of education is very important in terms of that. Another aspect, of course, is having an economic environment where young people can't afford to stay and live in the communities where they grew up. So keeping that economic vitality there as well, and providing that as basic incentives for people to live and stay in Northern Virginia.
Thank you. Senator, a question to you. You mentioned earlier in your remarks about the regulatory environment. As business owners, we know that government regulations do have a role to play in whether we grow or not as businesses, whether we hire employees or not. So if you can take a moment to discuss your thoughts on how government regulation and reducing regulation has a direct impact on our abilities to hire folks, create jobs, create wealth, and motivate the economy.
Well, certainly we do need to continue to make sure that Virginia has a favorable business climate and regulatory environment. I worked cooperatively and co-sponsored legislation this past session that helped modernize the telecommunications regulations, because they may have worked well for us back in the days before cell phones and a whole lot of other technology was developed back in the 60s and 70s. That's no longer the case, and we need to continually look at ways, working with the business community, taking their ideas for how we can help streamline their operations and continue to keep Virginia the best state in America for business.
Ms. Phillips, a response?
I'm sorry, could you repeat?
On the regulatory issue, the burden of government regulations on business.
Yes, I think we need to keep in mind the important role of government in terms of public safety and fair business practices and not get into government intrusion in terms of how businesses run their businesses and make their decisions. One of the biggest challenges that I've run across as I've been talking with businesses is, for example, healthcare, being able to provide healthcare for their employees, and the challenges in being able to do that in a cost-effective manner without having to raise their prices, and a special challenge for small businesses as well.
Okay. And now a question to you, Ms. Phillips. We talked a moment ago about education, and you talked about the importance of education. Give us your thoughts on how we can improve the education environment here in Northern Virginia, both K through 12 as well as higher education, and particularly with a focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which we know are going to be increasingly important for high technology industries.
Right. Well, one of my basic premises about government in general is that government closest to the people is most responsive. So my approach as a state legislator would be to protect the decision-making at the local school board level and give teachers and principals the authority to do what they do, which is educate children. I am not into micromanaging from the state. So it's a very important principle in terms of letting the school districts do what they do best, which is educate. We have excellent schools here in Loudoun County, Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, and it would be presumptive of me as a state legislator to think that I can tell them how to do it better. So I'm very supportive of local decision making. On the secondary level, I know some of the concerns that are raised by our Northern Virginia residents in particular is the difficulty of qualified students getting into our very good public institutions, higher education. And I think there are a couple things we can do to help encourage more in-state participation. And that would be by allowing having the discrepancy between in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition go to the general fund, just so it takes away that incentive, that economic incentive for our colleges to admit more out-of-state students. I know there is a value in having out-of-state students participate in expanding their the experience with people living and coming from different states, but we need to let that be the driver, not any economic incentives on that. Another challenge we have, I'm running out of time, but there's some other solutions we can look at in terms of our quality public education.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Senator Herring, same topic.
Well, I disagree with Ms. Phillips. I think an effective state senator can do a lot to help improve education in our localities. That's why I led the effort to reverse the composite index freeze a couple of years ago to help free up over $100 million for Northern Virginia schools that we deserve to get back from Richmond. I've helped to increase state's share of funding for Loudoun County Public Schools, almost doubling it in my 6 years since I've been in office. And those are the kinds of commitment to public education that I bring to the job and that I'm going to continue. I also believe that higher ed is critically important to helping make sure that we have a highly skilled workforce so that Virginia can continue to compete in a globally competitive economy. Our community colleges are bursting at their seams, and so I work to get funding for 2 new classroom buildings at the Loudoun campus of the community college. One of them is under construction right now, the other one's in the planning stage. And I also supported the higher education bill that includes not only incentives to encourage more programs in the STEM area, science, technology, and so forth, but it also helps provide new slots in our 4-year colleges, in our community colleges, and lays the groundwork for creating an additional 100,000 college degrees over the next 15 years for our young people. Finally, I also know that attaining that degree for either a 4-year degree or a graduate degree is a dream of many, many bright bright students that were graduating in Northern Virginia. And so I introduced and passed legislation to protect Virginia's Tuition Assistance Grant Program, helping them to achieve their dreams of getting a college degree.
You've got 30 seconds
if I could add my support for the change in the composite index, which was something that Governor McDonnell put back into the budget when he came in, and that was very important in terms of the more equitable funding around the state, and to include that in Northern Virginia.
Well, excellent. Thank you all. At this point, we'll move to our closing remarks. Senator Herring, you've got 2 minutes for your closing remarks for the audience.
Well, again, I'd like to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this debate. And since the first day I was elected, I have tried to work together in order to work together with everyone in order to try and keep our region moving forward. I've been able to effectively work across the aisles with Democrats, Republicans, and a lot of politicians will say that they work in a bipartisan manner around election time, but I've got the record to back it up. And as an example, a few years ago, I had an idea for a telework tax credit. I think telework is a great way to take cars off the roads. It improves worker productivity. It allows people to spend more time at home with their families instead of being stuck in traffic. And like a lot of things, sometimes it takes a couple years to get through the General Assembly. Governor McDonnell saw that that was a great idea. He wanted to move it forward again last year. I worked with Barbara Comstock, who's a Republican in the House. Working together, we were able to get that passed. That's how I got legislation passed for the Research and Development Tax Credit, working in a bipartisan way. That's how I've been effective for the residents of the district and around the state. That approach has enabled me to deliver results for the district, and I've enjoyed working with everyone in the chamber, and I look forward to continuing our efforts to advance your legislative agenda, and I ask for your continued trust and vote on November 8th.
Thanks, Senator. Ms. Phillips.
Great. Thank you. I just reflect on our excellent system of government that we have with the federal, state, and local government, and my focus again on more authority and responsibility at the local government, where citizens and businesses can have the most input and the like. I also think a very important role, in a sense also as well as in the economic development, is the role of voluntary associations represented by the Chamber of Commerce and many other organizations throughout that help contribute to a functioning working economy and society. And these are things that I think I am convinced that government does not have the solution to all of our problems, that we need the hard work and ingenuity of people in commerce, in business. We need the charitable work of all of us as individuals in terms of caring for our fellow man and looking out for the interests of others, as well as, I guess, some of the other things that we haven't talked on have been the issue of energy, the importance of keeping an affordable energy, expanding the resources that we have here in Virginia, and the technology infrastructure, such as broadband and the like. We have so much of that right here, but we need it throughout the state. Expands our teleworking and the total economic development of the state, not just in Northern Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for your time today. Thank you to the audience for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our candidates.